ang nagiging combo.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the League of Legends International Collegiate League 2016, the first of its kind, and it's looking to be an exciting 3 days of esports. We are your shoutcasters. My name is Aika, and with me here today is Amplify.
Yeah, so this is going to be really exciting. I mean, we just saw the game earlier. Again, a really exciting and really long game. Now we're going to have another game, of course, is going to be between Taiwan. So that's going to be their second university. Just to clarify that, because Taiwan is the host country, they're going to be having two teams. So that's NTU and NTNU. That's going to be National Taiwan Normal University, which we just saw earlier. And now we're going to be having, that's going to be NTU, which is National Taiwan University, of course. And then we're going to have PH, the Philippines. Their team will be Technological Institute of the Philippines. So that's going to be the next match. After this one, of course, we're going to have the final game after this. We should be getting into the game just a bit, but just for you guys who don't know the details yet of LICC, again, like I said, this is the first of its kind ever internationally, and it's going to be $5,000 for the first place, and then each member of the team will be getting their own laptop as well, and then that's going to be $3,000 for the second place, and then $2,000 for the first place. So a lot to look forward to for these teams and their respective countries to bring glory to their university and their country in general. So a lot to look forward to.
Yeah, definitely a lot of big prizes at stake here. We have around 9 countries in participation, and hopefully because of this, in the next year to follow, we can have it even bigger and bigger. Now we are heading into Game 2. Again, this is going to be between HKC and UPH.
Yes. Oh, actually, I'm not sure if those tags are right.
Yeah.
That's going to be TIP and NTU. So this is going to be Philippines on this side, and then this is going to be Taiwan on the other side. Oh, there you go. Okay, so now we're going to be taking a look at the bans. It's going to be Ryze and Alistar actually removed on the side of TIP. Jace, of course, is going to be another standard ban. Then we're going to have Nidalee, Caitlyn, and Syndra being removed as well. We saw how important Caitlyn has been. For guys who don't know, this is patch 6.21, so a bit after Worlds, we did see a couple of nerfs and buffs here and there, but we'll see how that does affect things. Olaf, actually, surprisingly being the first pick here for TIP.
Yeah, looking to be a priority pick. We have seen TIP run this Olaf pick throughout the duration of the whole LoL Collegiate League here in the Philippines, so that is going to be a definite pick for them. In response, though, NTU, they're picking up the Jhin and the Nami for their own.
So not going to be a Zyra Jhin, which we saw a lot during Worlds.
Yeah.
They're going to be choosing to go for more sustain. And of course, the Zyra will be switched over. Let's see if TIP does decide to lock it in. Draven. Oh, wow. They actually lock in. Okay, I didn't see that coming. Draven Zyra would actually be a pretty punishing duo at the beginning of the game. I mean, of course, we know Draven is one of the most painful AD carries during the early game. And then there's going to be Zyra, so we will be seeing that. Let's see how that bot lane works out. NTNU hovering over the Azir, something we did not see actually quite often during Worlds because of the crazy nerfs onto the Emperor. Nunu, Azir, wow. Okay, so a lot of niche picks, I guess, being locked in for both these teams.
Yeah, for NTU there, and of course for TIP. Even the Zyra, we didn't see them run that pick throughout LCL, although, of course, Zyra did rise into popularity throughout like the past few patches. We saw it a lot at Worlds. But the Draven pick, though, I haven't seen this yet.
Yep.
Definitely gonna be quite interesting too much.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever seen Draven become an actual staple competitive pick ever in the history of
Yeah.
League. So this is definitely something. But you know, whenever it comes to high competitive leagues like this, surprise factor can always help things go towards your favor. We'll see though
Yeah.
if they can if you can actually pull it off when we get into the game. Rumble and LeBlanc being hovered over this Nunu and Azir was quite interesting because this was meta a couple of patches back. I believe that was the beginning of last year, somewhere around that era, because the attack speed that Nunu gives to Azir really helps to bring out that DPS. We'll see if NTU can pull it off. Poppy as a final pick here to secure a bit of tankiness and engage as well for the side of Taiwan. So the Rumble and LeBlanc locked in for the side of the Philippines.
Yeah, so definitely there when you talk about earlier about the surprise picks, that's kind of the thing when you're going into best of ones, especially here when we're just having a single round robin best of ones. While it is very tempting to already dish out what you guys have honed throughout the past months, it also becomes more effective if you dish out something that's not expected at all by the other team. And then it's a high risk, high reward situation. But if you manage to get that steamrolling, then that already wins you so much in terms of an advantage in the group stage. And then when you get through, that's when you can really show what your team is made of.
And I think high risk, high rewards definitely the theme of the team for TIP because you have LeBlanc and Draven here who definitely are high risk, high reward champions. LeBlanc actually was, I think, very unpopular over the course of Worlds. I think this is one of the Worlds where we really didn't see her as compared to, for example, MSI last year where we saw LeBlanc being very often used. So in this case, we will be seeing LeBlanc against the Azir. Definitely this should be in LeBlanc's favor, especially considering the nerfs that have gone onto Azir. There's a lot of questions actually for both of these teams because we're seeing champions popping up that we really didn't see a lot during Worlds and general over, I think, the course of the year. So this Nunu Azir, I definitely am a big fan of this because I do love Azir myself. But whether or not Taiwan can actually pull this off is a question. And it's important to note as well that while Taiwan do have two teams being the host country, it was NTNU that qualified as the first placer for their collegiate league, not NTU. So I guess in terms of their abilities, there are a lot of questions still to be answered during this game.
Okay, and without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let us head right into it. Again, this is the LoL International Collegiate Championship, and this game is between TIP from the Philippines and NTU, the second team from Taiwan. Is it going to go to PH or is it going to go to Taiwan? There we have here some early charge
they're all grouping towards the blue side, but they are going to be going back. This should be pretty standard though, because we do have a lot of scaling laners on the side of National Normal University. National Taiwan University. So they have a lot of scaling laners. Jin, Poppy, and Azir do all take a very long time to scale, and I guess that's one of the scary things for the side of NTU because you have a lot of scaling laners, but you don't have a ganking jungler. So when Olaf does decide to come in, well, I guess Nunu would be focusing mostly on counter jungling more than the ganks. Of course, Nunu can be a bit flexible in a sense in playstyle, but we'll see how this early game goes. TIP, they're really relying on this early game because that LeBlanc and Draven need to get going for them to win.
Yeah, and that's actually looking pretty good there for TIP because we know they are a team who like to snowball or alter lanes. They like to win each of those 3 lanes, and with that, that's kind of their equation to get to a victory. We have here an early invade by NTU at level 1, getting pokes down onto Tarja there.
Wow, so actually that could have a pretty big effect on the laning phase because now that Tarja is all the way down in health, she only has 2 options. It's either she recalls and gets a huge level disadvantage or EXP disadvantage, or she stays in lane with less than half of her health. So this is already a pretty big drop in terms of early game advantage for the side of TIP. So pretty interesting there from NTU to do that. Really pretty huge reward as well because keep in mind, between these 2 bot lanes from NTU and TIP, it's NTU's bot lane that has to sustain, not Cute and Tarja here. So in their case, taking out that HP early on in the game to really sacrifice, because now at least you're quite sure you'll have a potion advantage during the laning phase.
Yeah, definitely. Tarja and Cute here have to be the primary aggressors in the bot lane again, simply because of the pick that they have. But starting off on that back foot, it could mean pretty bad for the next coming skirmishes there in the bot lane. Meanwhile, in top lane here, it looks like Poppy is having a bit of a hard time against Hanzo on his Rumble.
We'll see how the laning phase goes. Definitely, TIP is the kind of team to rely on winning that laning phase, and when they don't, things kind of get scary there because, at least in terms of macro game, it's not really what they're known for. Although I guess, like we said, since NTU is not really the one that qualified for the first place in their collegiate tournament, a lot of questions remain unanswered here for NTU, which they can prove in this second game of the LICC.
Yeah, and in comparison, TIP, as we know, has had an undefeated streak in the LOL League in the Philippines. So they're definitely looking to be the stronger team in this matchup.
Yeah.
And it's kind of showing because Tarya and Q seem unfazed at all by the earlier advantage.
Composure, such a big factor in these games. Tarya, though.
Yeah,
oh my
to Tarya,
gosh.
Flash and barely almost died there. Manages to stay alive. Takes up another cookie while Q lays down some damage of his own, but the retaliation is too much.
Oh no.
And the waves are just bouncing and laying on more and more damage. Another flash down there. But meanwhile, we have Olaf here to the rescue. Will he be able to keep them away, or will they get a kill there? Looks like NTU is not going to take this fight any longer, and they're backing off quite a bit there. Even with the red buff, no deaths just yet, though.
Yeah, it's the bot lane of TIP. They're really underestimating the burst damage of Jhin. Even though we call him a scaling laner, it's that mechanic unique to him. It's the 4th crit bullet and the Q burst damage that people really seem to underestimate. It's a pretty big mistake there coming from TIP because now 3 summoner spells are down and all summoner spells of NTU are up. So if ever this Nunu decides to come back down to bot lane, that will be a much more likely successful gank. We'll see how TIP responds to this. NTU though, looking good at least in that bot lane.
Yeah, and even on top of that, actually, Biao had to burn his ghost as well, just chasing them away, keeping them off of Cute and Tarya. And that's going to be definitely in the next few fights. They have to wait it out. They can't initiate something here. Meanwhile, that does leave things open for NTU to push them into a fight where they're already at disadvantage.
That's definitely true. So looking at the mid lane, LeBlanc not really putting down the damage onto Yichang's Azir just yet. So we'll see when that LeBlanc does go online. No gank and junglers for either side. At least in terms of CC, there's definitely a lack onto either Olaf or Nunu. So it really does sort of hamper the killing potential of a LeBlanc when she's not with the jungler, like for example Rek'Sai or Vi, Lee Sin, etc. See if she can get the lead, because again, that's what TIP is relying on here. They locked in a composition that wanted to get the early to mid game lead. So far, it's been looking like they're having a difficult time.
Yeah, definitely the bot lane of TIP feeling immense heat there as the farming or the CS gap between Cute and the Jhin, that's
Gyotchen?
Yeah. The gap there is definitely getting bigger and bigger as we move further into this game. And as you can see there, they try to poke, but they're really, really low on mana already, so they can't push that to any more of an advantage. They have to go back now and try to reach it.
And I guess it's very important to take into account the different ways that different AD carries interact with Zyra. Because you can't always expect any AD carry to work well with the advantages that a Zyra has. Because in Worlds, we mostly saw AD carries like Jhin and Caitlyn being used with Zyra. And the difference between them and Draven is actually the major range difference. Because when you have a Caitlyn and a Jhin, you have a huge amount of range. I mean, maybe Jhin doesn't have auto-attack range, but he does have the W, at least the stun, and then follow up with burst. Caitlyn obviously has the range, but in Draven's case, he doesn't have either. Because he has a difficult time, actually, he has to literally run up to the opposing AD carry before he can actually put down the damage, and that's very predictable for Anami to just simply land her Q if ever the thorns from Zyra go down. So the AD carry support interaction is a really big difference at least, so you couldn't really rely on this Draven and Zyra 100% to snowball in the same way that maybe a Jhin or Caitlyn could.
Especially when with that Draven pick, actually, if you want to keep catching those ashes, that already clearly signals to Anami where, hey,
yeah,
that's
actually
here.
true. That's actually very true. So a bit more predictable of an AD carry compared to the Caitlyn and the Jhin. Much harder to execute any more kills, especially without a ganking jungler. So I think that's the biggest worry here. TIP, they had the option to grab Elise first. It wasn't banned, but they decided to grab the Olaf first. So you have to wonder, if you weren't going to grab some reliant, or rather, if you weren't going to grab a ganking jungler first, maybe you shouldn't have gone, for these lanes that require snowballing to win the game. Unlike, for example, Caitlyn, she's totally fine on her own, but Draven needs those kills to be meaningful at all as the game progresses.
Yeah, definitely. And even now, Cute and Tarya are still having a difficult time there in the bot lane.
Yeah.
At least in the mid lane, though, Janine is looking much, much better compared to Piqiang there.
Yeah, he's actually forced to get that Negatron cloak, which is quite common, especially for Azir's early on, especially against a mid laner like LeBlanc. So really trying to negate that early game damage. No C. Well, actually, there's a 10 CS lead for Janine in that mid lane. But CC going down. Meanwhile, in top lane, things still looking quite even. The main focus, I guess, here will be on the Mountain Drake, actually, which is the first Drake of this game. If that does go to NTU, that's actually a pretty huge advantage because their siege actually is quite nice. Their tower diving and siege potential is quite nice. You've got this, the attack speed boost from Nunu to help the Azir take down those towers quickly, and then the Jhin as well with the ult in the long range. So if you get that Mountain Drake, the turret true damage is really gonna help them to secure this objective. So TIP, they've got to turn on the aggressive pedal very soon because as time ticks, NTU is enjoying this. They want this game to extend all the way to late game. TIP, on the other hand, they do feel that pressure, and it's on an international stage as well. So composure.
Oh, in the bot lane, Tarya, that wasn't much of a surprise. Warded out there and spotted out because of that. And now looks like you're in trouble.
Whoa!
Even with flash out, you won't be able to get away. That is first blood for Geo-Chen in the bot lane. And now all hell is breaking loose. Teleports from both sides here in the bot lane just to get more and more. Here comes Hanzo for what seems to be an attempt at a revenge kill. Just goes alright and he goes down. That is 2 kills for 1.
Actually, I think
3
that was
kills actually
three
for
for
NTU in exchange for 1. And
yeah, that was a really questionable, at least in execution. Hanzo really misplayed that one because the equalizer in itself was it totally missed the carry that he was aiming for, actually, or rather Nami. It totally missed Nami. It didn't block her path, and then he died as well. So it gave a really uneven exchange there in favor of NTU. That's going to be almost 1,000 gold lead, and it's a kill for 2 carries. That's Azir with a kill now, and then you've got Jhin who's 1-1-1. So this is really not looking good in terms of early game for the side of TIP. I really think they have to start getting this. Either they really focus on bot and get this Olaf flanking, or you just bring the Zyra somewhere else. You try and get her to roam, maybe to mid, get LeBlanc to really go online and shut down this Azir mid lane so you can start getting objectives. Just do anything right now because as time ticks, they run out of options as they approach the late game.
Yeah, but even before that fight erupted in the bot lane, actually, NTU had taken the time to surround the general area, the river around Dragon, with a lot of vision. They even had vision in the brush that Tarya was in. So that was already very much in NTU, put NTU at the advantage there. And the fact that TIP just kind of reacted in a very forced way was just so bad, despite knowing that they did not have any vision around that area. They did not deny any vision, and as you can see, it really, he was able to punish them accordingly.
Yeah, so really the hope here now is on the mid and top lane, because honestly, at 11 minutes, Draven behind the 30 CS, you really can't rely on him anymore to sort of snowball all the way. So you might as well just put your eggs in a different basket. Maybe LeBlanc or a Rumble can save them once we get into that mid game. We just have to see a bit more proactiveness coming in from the side of TIP, especially with this Zyra. I really think the Zyra Olaf plus either the mid lane or top laner could change the way or turn things into TFT's favor. However, for NTU, good job. They just have to keep things going. They're not giving away any leads. They're actually ahead, if anything, on the kills. So they just have to keep this pace going and make sure that they can track this Olaf so Lulu can continue to just take away the advantages. But looks like you might have a top lane dive here.
Equalizer down on to Philly there in the top lane. He's cornered. That's
Oh.
going to be a turret dive. But
Ooh.
wow, yeah, they do secure the kill. They managed to juggle the turret aggro accordingly, and that is a reward. Although Drake did go to NTU.
Yeah.
Well,
Oh
here's
my
the
gosh.
We have there the ultimate by Taria, just locking him down, keeping him there for the kill by Cute. And now the enemy Nami has to just run away.
Yeah, so NTU's AD carry there, getting a bit over-aggressive. Definitely, he went in and didn't take into account the counter-engage potential of a Draven and the Zyra. Because once you do make a mistake to step forward all the way and you get caught by the Thorn from Zyra, both Draven and Zyra will just automatically press R on you, and you will die as a Jhin, of course. So really aggressive play there from GeoChain there on that Jhin. We'll see though, they did get the Mountain Drake. Like I said, that does have a really good positive effect on the sieging capabilities of NTU. So let's see if they'll be able to use it, you know, coupled with proper rotations to get a couple of objectives. But First Blood Tower for the turrets does go to TIP. They will have a pretty nice 2,000 gold lead there, as they do have top lane control as well.
Yeah, they did manage to get that Drake. So it's pretty likely that the first turret already went to TIP there. But definitely NTU not at a disadvantage when it comes to pushing, especially that the bot lane is still very much at on the back foot there. 119 CS compared to 89 or 90. That's around 30 CS lead already for GeoChain. That's pretty bad at this point in the game, and Cute has to translate that earlier punishing kill into an opportunity to be able to catch up on CS there, because the way it looks, the way this game is going, his Draven is not going to be very effective anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the only option for TIP left at this point, you know, is to try again to bring the advantages elsewhere. So Draven can continue actually just CS here. In fact, what they can even do is just try to keep clearing the bot lane and then just try to keep invading on the side of Nunu. Try and get a couple of kills either for any of the carries really, because sticking to this laning phase is really just killing TIP slowly. The Draven really doesn't have any advantage left to try and really snowball out of the lane, considering the bad early circumstances they had. So let's see if LeBlanc can try and get online. She does have the Morellonomicon up, although Nashers is also up as well for
Taria, there you go, making the same mistake again, spotted out by that ward, and she's going to suffer for it. Curtain Call has been used, puts her really low, but she manages to stay alive. Despite all of that, and again, the same mistake committed there by TIP.
And an awkward TP as well from Hanzo. He's actually just sitting around that river. Again, a pretty questionable altar coming in from Hanzo that's gonna give a wave advantage there over to Poppy, which could be well used because she is behind by quite a lot of CS. He will be able to put down some damage. Jagger not coming up anytime soon though, so I think Olaf and Rumble gonna try and push up this mid lane. Meanwhile, LeBlanc is going to be the one moving over to top lane against this Poppy. Overall, really questionable engage there coming in from TIP. We'll see if the TP advantage can be used by Silly here. Because definitely, once this Poppy, I mean, in terms of CC at least, you can really rely on Poppy to lock down carries. So if they can get down this Draven who's already behind anyway, they can really get this Jhin going. He's going for the Yomu's Black Cleaver. Really painful. We'll see if they can get him to reach that 2-item power spike earlier on. Meow spotted out here. He's going to be forced to take down a couple of wards. Really safe play so far from NTU. So great job from them to keep up this bot lane when we thought it was actually going to fall down.
Yeah, teams, they did learn from their earlier mistakes of overextending without vision, and meanwhile, TIP, they have to keep in mind what they've done wrong throughout this game already. They cannot just take these huge risks, especially at this point. I get that they're getting frustrated in the bot lane, and Hanzo is quite confident enough to TP somewhere awkward that needs a lot of time to get there when the fight has already started. But at this point, they need to exercise patience. Maybe let Janine rogue instead. She has enough of a lead to do that. Do a quick rogue, quick kill on some squishy carries there once you have the vision down. But other than that, it's not looking good for TIP.
Yeah, definitely. But they still do have hope because we are 17 minutes in. It's gonna be Dragon coming up in 1 minute, so
Yeah.
they better set this one up. Actually, I don't know why Olaf's recall. Maybe because there's no vision, but they should be pushing this up, putting down vision, and then you recall so that by the time the Dragon comes up, everyone's already there, set up for the Dragon fight, which really could turn things in their favor. It's just that the wave management and recall timings are pretty off to set up for these objectives on the side of TIP. That's obviously good news for NTU because then they can contest this one pretty easily. As you're just trying to stay alive here, and he's actually keeping up quite well in CS against this LeBlanc. A lot of damage going down though.
Yeah. PY Chang definitely getting bullied there for quite some time now by Janine, doing his best to stay, but
Whoa.
I guess Janine knowing that Dragon's almost up, but meantime here in the top
no,
lane, Hanzo
Hanzo.
is in trouble with two people from NTU onto him,
Wow.
knocking him down, keeping him there. The hammer will take you down. That is a kill for NTU. Meanwhile,
Oh no,
in the
Tarja.
bot lane, overextended again, Tarja there, almost taken down
Olaf.
by the curtain call, but from behind we have Meow just taking out Geo-Chen. Maybe this is it. This is actually the play that TIP might be confident with, and they can actually go for Dragon.
I'm very glad we're finally seeing a flashing Olaf because that's what we didn't see in game one. So it's going to be a 1-for-1. It's going to be Hanzo or Geo-Chain there on the Jhin. They will get be taking away the top turret, but this will be traded for a Cloud Drake. So in terms of who wins what, I'm not so sure actually because the Cloud Drake on the side of TIP, I guess it could help because once you get a faster movement speed, you can make more picks with this Zyra and this LeBlanc. However, losing the top lane control does not do good things for Rumble because he really could have been the one to help out when it comes to teamfight roaming. So he will be stuck up on that top lane trying to defend the wave. We'll see if Silly can use this to his advantage and maybe make a couple of picks on his own around other sides of the map. Rift Herald returning to the Void, and Baron is coming, which means 20 minutes in. Mid-turret going to NTU, actually. So the Mountain Drake is definitely to thank for that as well. True damage helpful there.
So we already have two outer turrets down for the side of TIP. That is going to allow NTU a lot of room to breathe, actually, and lay down or push down more control on that map, lay down more vision. They've been doing really well on that. And bot lane still the same as ever. They're really sticking to this laning phase.
Yeah, bot lane is actually the opportunity now. Although Jhin actually doesn't have his ult, but this is where they're going to be looking to next because now that Azir is really approaching his power spike here, he's going to be getting a second core item soon. Once you hit that 2-item power spike and the Jhin gets the Black Cleaver as well, you really hit a point where you can start to burst people down. So the bot tower dive is definitely an option, but they have to play it really carefully still because even if there is... Actually, the gold is still even. So at this stage of the game, TIP is actually probably still going to do more damage. So TIP again hunting down this bot lane. Hanzo stuck here at top lane because they lost control, but he does have the TP. Silly does not.
Yeah. Meanwhile, that curtain call gonna be used by Geo-Chain to sort of lay down more damage.
Oh wait, is that a Baron? Oh my god, that's a Baron!
Yeah, they're gonna take this
Oh.
early Baron there.
Oh my gosh,
PY
Azir!
Chang, of course, in trouble, underestimating the amount of damage that could put down on them.
Oh my
But
gosh.
meanwhile, NTU still gets Baron, guys, but he's gonna be stuck in there. Is he gonna be able to run away? No, Janine just taking his time.
Wow.
Sweet time. Auto attacks for days and gets the kill off of him.
Okay, that was a really sneaky Baron. Even I didn't see that happening, even though it was already on the minimap. But that is gonna help at least push the waves in, especially if Poppy decides to stay in top lane. He has a TP, so he can push up top, keep Hanzo there, and then the Baron is really gonna push things in. But we'll see. There's gonna be a lot of damage going down.
Oh no, there we have Janine going in very aggressively onto Dean. Dean has to stay behind now. Meanwhile, the bottom turret has been taken out by Geo-Chain. And now, without any of those outer turrets, what is TIP going to do?
Yeah, they really lost control of the map here. They have to regain some form of control. At least they've been able to catch up. It's 3-3 on the turret score after all, so both of them just need to manage those waves properly. The next objective probably going to be any of those inner turrets now, or if Dragon comes up quite soon. Baron, because it was taken so sneakily by NTU, they can really push in to this mid lane now.
Yeah, so
Tarja.
they're locking down
Oh,
Tarja.
wow.
Tarja once again going out as soon as the fight erupts.
Great bubble. And actually, it was a really great E there by Poppy.
Yeah.
Able to take out the Tarja, and now their counter engage is pretty much absent.
And Janine, very, very low on mana there, isn't going to be able to lay down enough
Whoop.
poke to keep them at bay. We have Curtain Call being used, slows down Meow there, and on the side, Q is in trouble. Silly is onto him, and they just decide to back off and siege this mid lane turret instead.
Yeah, you can see Draven can't even put down damage onto Poppy anymore. He's fallen way too far behind at this point, 23 minutes in. So they'll be relying mostly actually on AP damage from LeBlanc and Rumble. So all NTU really has to do is to stack up on that MR, which they are doing, by the way. There's already the Maw for Jin, and then you've got the Negatron Cloak for Azir, and the Spirit Visage from Poppy. So they really will be able to negate a lot of that damage. Dragon coming up in 1 minute and 30, and they just have to... It's really on the wave management now here, because a lot of the outer turrets are down. So Jin and Poppy doing the right thing, going to be pushing out their side lanes first before they set up. Meanwhile, TIP already putting down a lot of the wards here. And okay, gonna be stepping back.
Yeah. And apart from being very good at laying down a lot of roles, being very religious about it and denying vision as well, NTU is doing a good job of reacting at the same time. Like, as soon as someone is spotted out, they make quick decisions around the map, just like earlier when they saw all of those people going for them into bot lane. They're like, you know what, let's start setting up for Baron. And it's that quick thinking that's been going in the favor of NTU so far in this game. Meanwhile, TIP just doing their best to keep their head above water. They are behind 2k gold again. Q is not very useful at this point yet. Again, Janine is looking strong, but at the same time, PY Chang isn't looking weak either. So TIP really has to think about what their win conditions are at this point in the game.
Yeah, it's definitely options running out for them for this composition. Q actually being pushed out, so this is good communication from NTU. They push in. Actually, they could have chosen any lane, literally, whether it be mid, top, or bot. And Poppy was already on the top side anyway, pushing in to keep Hanzo there. Because that's the thing, once Hanzo is kept in control, you lose a pretty huge source of damage because he has the Void Staff and the Liandry's. But if he's stuck in lane with Poppy, who he can't even kill, he doesn't really snowball anything for the side of TIP. So NTU playing it pretty smart here. And this is going to take ages to kill. Silly. He's going to use his ult to try and get away. Actually, think Janine can get this. Yeah.
He's going to go down.
Worthy trade, though.
They did get that dragon. And earlier, as we can see, NTU executing the 1-4 very well there. Keeping two people from TIP very busy to even react to the dragon take. And even so, they don't even have vision to spot that out. So very concerning here for TIP. They're not managing to get any control of the map so far, especially those very important objectives.
Yeah, their first game in LICC, they were probably looking to really put the hammer down on the laning phase and try to get an early advantage. But we can see, you know, NTU, they played it very patiently. They knew what kind of I think from the get-go, they already pretty much knew what kind of composition they wanted to bring in. They knew they wanted to scale, to play it safe, and just waited for TIP to make their mistakes, which they did. This bot lane really here, Draven and Zyra, may have overestimated this early on because, like I said, not all AD carries work as well with Zyra.
Yeah, that's true. NTU does seem to have a better understanding of their composition. They know that they're not there for getting picks. They're actually much better at those team fights, sieging, laying down the vision patiently, and then setting up for a good fight, especially when you know that the enemy team does not know you have vision there, or they're unaware. So catch them unaware and get a lot of advantages from that. Meanwhile, TIP is just looking very all over the place. Janine trying to go solo, trying to get picks, but at this point when NTU kind of just keeps bunching up together, it's going to be very difficult to do that.
Yeah, actually, that's the key there. NTU continues to move in sort of a 1-4 configuration, but the idea, one opportunity for TIP here that they create for themselves was to actually split up NTU. You know, you put down the vision deep in their jungle and try to get small skirmishes happening around the map, because in terms of a 1v1, LeBlanc, Draven, and Olaf will almost always win against their counterpart role. Oh, but there's going to be a engage here.
Onto them in the mid lane as well as the tidal wave, though they seem to be quite tanky for that to lay down enough damage, although Meow is going to be stuck there under that turret, and with 5 people onto him. He's gonna go down. He does have Guardian Angel. He's coming back from the grave only to die again. That must have been painful. Now Tarja flashing away. And everyone's just running away this time to TIP, although Janine wants more blood there. Re-engages for a kill by Tarja using his ultimate.
Yeah, Nunu a bit over aggressive there. He did misposition himself, chasing down that LeBlanc. Did not expect a lot of that burst damage, but at the same time though, TIP not really the best, not really the type of composition there you can just rush down mid lane and expect a reward, because there's really limited engage for their side. Unless you land the perfect flank on the Olaf, you usually really won't get anything out of the team fight. So again, like I said earlier, the better option really would be to just go for these small skirmishes, because Olaf, LeBlanc, and Draven do really well in a 1v1 against champions like Jhin, Azir, and Nunu. It's actually really easy to 1v1 those kinds of champions. You'll either force a flash or kill them, so it's really a low risk, high reward play if you just split them up. Unlike if you run into mid lane, you're expecting a lot of in-lane CC. You've got the Nami, you've got the wall from the Azir, and then the responding ults from Silly and Nunu as well. So it's really difficult. They should just choose to spread out their vision and split up NTU. But NTU, you know, they're doing a good job. They know that that's their weakness if they split up, so they just stick together and try to have proper wave management so they never have to split up.
Some ward plays there in the mid lane. Yeah, looking for some vision.
And we can see, you know,
NTU's just marching in.
Exactly, and they're taking out a lot of the vision that TIP is initially setting in. So, oh wow, was that a
3
triple?
wards! 3 wards in one bush.
You can never have enough wards, apparently. That's gonna be Scuttle as well. So this is a really lit up Baron river here, and we'll see if they decide to actually go for this, because they can. They have the advantage to bait here, because their team composition really allows for it. You know, you can really recover a lot when it comes to all-ins from the team of TIP, because you have so much disengaged. So with the vision advantage and the wave management as well, since you have top lane pushed up, you can really do this. And TP up for both top laners though. We'll see who pulls the better flank, but I'm really hoping to see TIP go for the skirmishes instead. Rumble's trying to push down this ball. Oh,
yeah, meanwhile they've already started Baron here. Quite sneaky there. TIP doesn't have vision, so they're actually not sure if it has started. They are trying to take a peek. We have a teleport there, and we have Gio-Chen on the side using his curtain call to zone them away, and that was cleanly executed. Good job there for NTU.
Yeah, slowly, you know, they're sucking out the souls of TIP. Slowly but surely taking away every single objective that they've got. You know, TIP down by 2 turrets, they're down by a dragon. Now Baron is in the hands of NTU as well. The second Baron, actually in 30 minutes, really good for them. So now it's just a matter of them properly separating the champions. You might see an engage here.
Ooh, locking down Janine there. Forced to flash out actually, and then re-engage for a possible damage on Silly. But meanwhile, in the mid lane there, we had the equalizer down. They had to push him away, but they did suffer some loss of steam, had to go down, and they are looking really low there. NTU has to run away, though they do have their Baron buff, so I would say just run away with that. But they're gonna stay for this re-engage. Actually, they're forced to fight there. Ultimate's being dished out, especially by PY Chang. No more disengage left for him. 3 people down on the side of NTU, and it looks like slowly but surely Silly might just join them in the grave. He donates another kill, and that is 4 people down from the side of NTU.
And now you see what I mean, because once you start doing this this kind of playstyle where you run them down one by one, you see that TIP actually has the damage to get that kind of strategy going. So rather than going for that full 5v5, you know, you bait NTU into walking into areas where it's very dangerous, and then go for those small skirmishes where you hunt them down one by one. It's just, it's usually pretty difficult to set that up at this time, because NTU knows they shouldn't be doing that. They really have to, TIP has to play a really good vision game and make sure they're not getting out pushed. Because the wave management of Silly, you know, he's always making sure that the side lanes are pushed up. So TIP kind of gets split. Like, it's a dilemma really, where they have to decide it's either they go for an all-in or they send back another member to try and defend one of the lanes. So it's really a wave management and vision game here.
Yeah, I think what happened there in the mid lane was TIP really got lucky. We saw Janine make a mistake, being caught out there, but they went back in and dished out a lot of their skills, managed to get down some really good burst onto like the clump team of NTU, and then they suddenly decided, oh wait, guys, we might actually be at the advantage here. Let's run them down. And then NTU suddenly found themselves from a team fight where they normally are very good at. Now that they've been burst down, they know they have to run away, and that is not their forte given this team.
Oh wow, flash in!
Very aggressive flash in there, and the tidal wave just make them sitting ducks there in the top lane. Though Meow is in trouble, he does have Guardian Angel. He's gonna rise from the grave, but the rest of his teammates just feel like NTU a few minutes ago. They're running away. They did not expect all of that damage. And now the tables have just been turned once again, and the gold is tied between the two teams.
Yeah, 1 for 1. I mean, that was really, really, really aggressive from TIP. The fact that Tarya actually became the engager.
Yeah,
the flash ult. That was crazy. Usually you should be using it for a counter engage.
Yeah, and Janine there just being locked down, poked down, and assassinated by PY Chang. And now NTU decided they've gotten enough. Last them quite a while. The 3 lanes are pushed, and now they're just gonna buy some stuff from the shop. They have a lot of gold in their pockets.
That's why during the pick and ban phase, we mentioned that NTU had really good balance throughout their composition because you had the peel for the carries, you had the front line who could either lock down the enemy or peel for your own. We couldn't say the same for TIP because even if they had champions who could secure early game advantages, when it comes to those team fights, the roles kind of get messy because all of you deal damage, but then again, we don't really have a solid tank, we don't really have someone to peel, especially for the Draven that's still quite weak during this stage, especially since he was much better during the early game. So NTU, this is really the part where they shine. It's at post 30 minutes where you've got all your items going and it feels like an RPG because you've all got your roles. We have the healer, we have the carry, and then you've got the tanks as well. So this is the part where TIP, really has to play the game. I guess you have to play with the minds of NTU because NTU's comp is so straightforward. Guys, let's group up and kill them. But for TIP, you kind of have to play the way LeBlanc likes to play, which is you trick them.
Oh no, Silly here, getting caught out. They've decided that if you're going to go for the 1-4, we're going to take out Silly first and then deal with the rest of your team. So I guess clever move there by TIP. They get that kill. They're still in the lead in terms of kills on the scoreboard, but they are behind in gold.
Yeah, so 1,000 gold lead and turrets up for NTU and no objectives actually. So this is going to be mostly on... Oh, just kidding. There's going to be Baron in 1 minute and 55. Again, when you're a team that doesn't do team fights, it's a bit more difficult to approach the Baron because you can no longer like walk up to NTU and just expect to take the Baron from them. You really have to set up much better than NTU will because NTU just has to walk up. But TIP, you've got to spread that vision, which they should be doing right now. At 1 minute and 30, the vision should already be scattered around Baron, so that by the time you recall and then come back, you can make the picks ahead, take them out 1 by 1, and then secure the Baron. This is in NTU's advantage because even if they don't have vision, all they have to do is walk up there, do the 5v5 thing that they like to do, and then just take it. Yeah. So I guess that's the difficulty, especially when TIP was not really known for macro game in their domestic region. It's really more of the win lane win game, and when they don't win there, then there's a lot of doubt onto whether or not they can win the game.
Yeah, and actually I've been seeing a lot of mistakes and really bad calls on the side of TIP, at least by Tarya. We've seen her make some really bad mistakes, and then at the end of that last fight, she just initiates by flashing in. Yeah. And it's like, that's not your role in that team fight. Like, I can see they understand that they need to get advantages starting by getting those picks, but you are not the person that's supposed to be getting those picks.
And actually, when you think about it, like in the previous game, we had the Zyra and the Olaf as well. And similar sickness because TIP and NTNU both lack some clear form of engage. So again, this goes back to the pick and ban phase where TIP had the option to grab something like an Elise or Rek'Sai, for example, or even a Gragas, but instead, they go for the Olaf, and there's no one to set up for any of the damage dealers, except if, for example, you land a lucky Zyra root or a equalizer from Rumble, but those are so conditional. You have no reliable engage. That's really the problem. So right now, TIP's kind of stuck to, okay guys, we have no option. Tarya, you know, just flash in there and then use your ult and hopefully we catch someone.
Oh no.
It's really difficult. So the waves all pushing in favor of TIP at least. So this is pretty okay setup. It's just they don't have wards over the pit. So if the NTU decides to flank, then it could be pretty dangerous right now. Baron's going down fast though.
Yeah, both teams dancing around Baron.
No
there
smite.
we have Meow being pushed away by Silly, and they're gonna have to abandon this.
Yeah, better though. At least they're not being over aggressive at this point. They should be backing out. Jin is quite near. He is approaching the mid lane as well. NTU though have to be a bit careful because if they make any mistake and even one of them is taken out of the fight, then that could really snowball because top and bot lane are both pushing. So TIP, should they win an exchange, actually have several options. They can take Baron, they can push in mid, top or bot, whichever they choose. This is the part where TIP though has to be very careful and to not get too excited. Because if they go all in and have Tarya flash in, for example, and then miss the engage, it can get really messy from there.
Yeah, and again, as you mentioned earlier, they do not have a lot of vision in the jungle. And this is a very risky attempt at Baron. We have Curtain Call to slow them down. We have Teleport there. Tidal Wave being used. Meow is falling behind. He has Guardian Angel, so he can still come back from that. But now it looks like NTU is just going to force this team fight. We have the bubble onto them. They're onto 3 people. But all that damage is going to be unbearable, and now it's 3-3. But carries and squishy people are really suffering the brunt of this. It's 2 and 3 people down on the side of NTU versus
TIP
2
though.
from TIP, and TIP doing what they're supposed to do, running them down, cleaning up. Dean doing his best to stay alive here, and that's just gonna be a slow death. But not. She manages to flash out over that wall. Okay,
so that was a 3-for-3 exchange. More questionable for NTU than TIP because the team fight setup in terms of positioning was really faulty for NTU. You had carries that were really, or rather everyone basically in NTU was really all over the map. Like you didn't really have a proper setup when the setup should be pretty straightforward for the team. You've got the tanks in the front line, Nunu and Poppy in front, and then you've got the carries at the back. But what Azir did was he actually went inside the pit. So he really lost a lot of options and he got killed pretty much by Draven because all he had to do was walk up and then land the single auto attack. So have to improve the positioning there. And it really gave TIP the, well, what should have been a one fight for NTU actually made it even because of the weird positioning from NTU.
Yeah, and considering that river is actually quite wide, in comparison, NTU managed to make it look like a choke point.
Yeah.
And when you have something like that, that's going to be beneficial to ultimate of Tarya and Hanzo there. They're going to enjoy that, especially when you have a lot of squishies on your team. But
Ragnarok.
They are back for a Baron fight. Baron going down to half health there. Now they are going to drop the equalizer. Managed to get it on 3 people, actually. That's looking good for TIP. Their Curtain Call to sort of slow them down, keep them away. Hanzo gets bursted down though. And now Janine has to run away because she is also feeling a little too low. Tarya separated there. Geochain with the cleanup onto him. 3 people are down from TIP versus just 1 from NTU.
Way too desperate from TIP there. We saw the equalizer forced at such a late part of the exchange. We thought that it was going to be pretty much a disengage from both, but then Hanzo suddenly puts down the equalizer and probably calls for an engage, and it totally backfires. It's a 3-1 exchange, and top lane was so heavily pushed already against TIP, so there's going to be a free inhib. They might even approach to the next turret. 15 seconds to go on the death timer.
In trouble there, down to half health. Meow again stuck in the arms of NTU. Does manage to stay away, but now even their top lane and third turret are going down.
Yeah, misuse of cooldowns as well. Meow used his Ragnarok really early in that fight earlier, so he didn't have it to run into the carries at the time, because Jin and Azir, you know, when the team fight's messy and you can't put down CC on Meow, he can just go ham on Azir and Jin, but because he uses also early, again, mismanagement of cooldowns really put them behind in that team fight. So Baron is still the objective to look at. No one really cares about the Elder Drake right now. All the pressure is on this spot. There will actually be a massive recall on their side. If TIP sees this, they might start Baron, but it's still really risky.
Yeah, earlier there, TIP definitely underestimated the damage that that could come out from Geo chain there. And I guess when you do manage to land ultimates that hit like 3 people, you have to admit you get kinda excited, overexcited to follow it up. But definitely a mistake there. They should have just kept them away and then maybe engage or start the Baron themselves. But yeah,
Yeah, and I think
damage has been dealt.
yeah, and I mean, I think one of the things I didn't point out between the two teams is the massive range difference between their compositions, because you've got an Azir and a Jhin who can really deal damage from afar, unlike TIP, who literally every single member has to walk up to you to deal damage. So in that case, when you're miscommunicated in a team fight with TIP, it really sacrifices a lot. And that's a free Elder Drake.
Yeah, that is fast, and TIP not fast enough to get to Baron themselves. Now he might actually pressure them away from it.
Wow, all going down.
Baron.
Ragnarok Force.
They're just gonna go for a team fight here. Tidal Wave to keep them in place. And there you go, a bubble. And Cyrus ult, of course, is knocking them up, making them ripe for the damage. But no, Janine does not want to risk any of that. As well as Arya flashing out. He was just doing his best to stay alive, but with that Dragon Burn, Elder Drake Burn, actually, that's going to be very painful. And
yeah, I think this is actually the game pretty much. Insane damage from Elder Drake, and that was really an insane amount of damage coming in from NTU. And ladies and gentlemen, our second game going over pretty much to Taiwan here against the Philippines, and a well-deserved win as well. I mean, we saw the great play coming in from NTU. Philippines locked in super high-risk, high-reward composition we saw. And again, like I mentioned towards that late game, what I failed to mention was that Philippines locked in a composition with really short range. Maybe we leave out the whole distortion reach of LeBlanc, but in general, they do need to get pretty close, unlike the Jhin and the Azir, who can deal damage from afar. So in that case, when you're a short-range composition without a reliable engage, it's so difficult for you to make opportunities for yourself, especially when you have to get yourself going during the early to mid-game.
Yeah, and especially we did mention over and over again, seems that NTU really knew how to play their own composition better compared to TIP. So that game 2 will be going to them. Congratulations, Taiwan, and hopefully in the next few games, TIP will look even better, especially after that. So guys, stay tuned because we still have one more game coming up. Again, this has been the LOL International Collegiate League, and we are your shoutcasters. My name is Aika, and with me here was Amplifier.
Yeah, see you guys in just a bit.